Everyone, today I am going to discuss about the sampling design. Sampling design is an important part of research subject. In this we decide about the sample, what is the sample size and how we select the sample. In this video I am going to discuss about the sample design, how we design the sample. When we discuss about the sample means the representative of the population. Let's start with the topic. Meaning. Sample design is a plan for obtaining a sample from the given population. Sample means that is representative of the population. So sample design is a plan for obtaining a sample from the population. Then we have to specify the population from where we get the data. On the basis of that population we select the sample. It is a technique or a procedure the researcher would adopt in selecting the items. Like when we discuss about the sample design is a planning or is a technique or is a procedure how the researcher adopt or select the items or select the sample. Sampling is a mathematical function that gives you the probability of any given sample being drawn. यानी कि sampling is a technical function, that is a mathematical function. On the basis of that we are going to decide कि how many respondents we are taken for our survey. The whole process is known as the sample design. Now we discuss about the steps in sample design. There are a number of steps are there कि how we select the sample. First of all, the first step is type of the universe. यानी कि we have to clear about the things कि what is our universe. ठीक है, from where we collect the data. So this is the first step. This is the first step for the sample design. In that we clearly define the set of objects called the universe. ठीक है, द यूनिवर्स कैन बी. अब हम बात करते हैं व्हाट इज टाइप ऑफ यूनिवर्स. यूनिवर्स आर ऑफ टू टाइप, वन इज फिनाइट एंड सेकेंड इज इनफाइनाइट यूनिवर्स. Finite universe when the number of items are certain, like we know that how many respondents are there in that case. Infinite, then we can't have any idea about the total number of items. We don't decide about that thing how many items are there in that universe and how we collect the data. The population of the city, the number of workers in a factory. When we discuss about how many workers are there, how many students are there in a college, these are the finite universe. Like we know that how many respondents are there. From that respondent list we have to choose the sample. Like these are the example of the finite universe. Whereas when we discuss about the number of stars in the sky, listeners of a specific radio program, throwing a dice, etc., like these are infinite universe. Like we are not going to discuss how many respondents are there. We are not having a definite number of the persons in that particular population. Then that is infinite. Finite means when we are the items are certain. Infinite when items are not certain, we are not having any idea how many items are there. Hope you clear with this point. Now the second one, first of all we have to decide about the universe. Second point is the sampling unit. Now we know that this is a population where we get the data. Like we have to decide about the factory workers, we have to decide about the students in a college, and we are going to collect the data from this population. Now the second one is sampling unit. In sampling unit, like when we decide about this before we select the sample, we have to concern about the sampling unit. Sampling unit may be a geographical one, such as हम बात करते हैं कि like the states are there, districts are there, villages are there, from where we get the data. We have decided that this is our population and this is finite or infinite, from where we have to collect the data. Now we decide in that sampling, in that population, what is our sampling unit, from where we get the data, from a particular state, from a particular district, from a particular village, or a construction unit such as house, flat, etc. Maybe a social unit like the family. We have to collect the data of the families, we have to collect the data of the clubs or school, or it may be an individual. The researcher will have to decide one or more such unit that he has to select for his study. Then first step is we have to decide about the universe, we have to decide about the population. Second one is sampling unit, we have to decide about the sampling unit. Now the third one is the source list. It is also known as the sampling frame. This is a part of the sampling design. In this, like sampling frame means from where and which sample is to be drawn. It contains the name of all the items of the universe. यानी कि when we discuss about the finite universe, we know that how many respondents are there, that is a finite, that is certain items are there. Then we have to name all the items of the universe. ठीक है, if source list is not there, the researcher has to prepare it. Such a list should be comprehensive, correct, reliable and appropriate. It is very important for the source list to be a representative of the population as possible. Source list means, first of all, we have to clear about the population, then we have to clear about the sampling unit, then we have to clear about the sampling frame, from where we have to take the sample. We have to make that list, these are the respondents from where we collect the data, and that should be reliable. Now the next step is size of the sample. Now if population is clear in your mind, then you have to select the size of the sample, like how many respondents have to take for our survey. That is a main important question for our every study, whether that is your study is a technical, whether that is your study is very simple, that is based on the consumer. Then you have to decide from where you get the data. If we are going to do a study on the consumer, then we have to take a large data, because the data is based on the mentality, or we can say that the data is based on the taste and preference of the consumer. So we have to decide how many respondents are there, and that truly represent the universe. The data should be efficient, the sample should be efficient, representative, reliable is there, flexibility is there. Like these are the main feature of when we select the size of the sample. Now the next parameter, that is a parameter of interest. Now we have to decide the next point. In determining the sample design, one must consider the question of specific population parameters which are of interest. Like we have to decide about the thing, like when we go in the population, we have to decide about the parameter of interest. We have to discuss about the proportion of person which some characteristics in the population. Like we are going only include the data of that kind of persons in the market, whether we are going towards the age, a particular age in the market, a particular income status of related to particular product. It may be interested in knowing some average of the same average measure concerning the population. We have to decide about the characteristics in that particular population. Next one is we have to consider the cost. That is the main thing, budgetary. Like we have to think about how much we are going to expense to collect the data from the market. That is also very important part when we discuss about the sampling design. Next is sampling procedure. Sampling procedure, the overall process is there. The researcher must decide the type of sample he will use. He must decide about the technique to be used in selecting the sample. There are several sampling design. Out of his, researcher must choose one for the study. He must select that design which for a given sample size or given cost has smaller sampling error. Now we have to decide about the techniques. We have to decide how we collect the data from the market, and whether that is based on your convenience or whether that is based on your judgment. But the main thing is there कि sampling error must be reduces or maybe less, and we are going with that particular procedure. Now when we discuss about the sampling design, we have discussed about the sampling design. We have discussed about the steps in sampling design. There are 7 steps. Now we discuss about the criteria of the sampling. First one is inappropriate sampling frame. In third point, we discuss about the sampling frame. In that we discuss about the source of list. Sampling frame that must be appropriate, that not be inappropriate sample frame, because if that is inappropriate, then that is a biased representative of the universe. That is not correct explanation of the universe, your population. In that case there must be a bias, so that we have to choose the appropriate sampling frame. Second one is defective measuring device. The devices we are using to calculate the particular results of the questionnaire or interview, that must be a good measuring device, that not be defective. Next is non-response. If we are going to collect the data from the market, there are some of the things are there, some people are not giving response of your questionnaire, so that we have to think in our mind what kind of non-response persons are there and how we overcome that particular situation. Next, some of the principles that we decide in our mind, like sometimes we find that individuals are different when kept under the observation. Like there are 2 situations, one is observation, one is non-observation. Then we have to set our principle according to that. People always think and behave in different when we are like going to tell them ki you are under the observation. Then we have to decide the principle we have to determine the principle in an accurate way. Next is natural biasness in the reporting of the data. When we discuss about the biasness, like when we discuss about the fair or unfair things are there when we collect the data, when we have to consider that thing, natural biasness must be there. Then people in general understand the income if asked about it for the tax purpose. When we ask the question about the person how much tax you are going to pay, you are paying in this financial year, then people think that we are asking about the income. So a little bit biasness is there when we collect the data. Now we discuss about the feature of good sample design. What is there in a sample? Sample design must result in a truly representative sample. Truly representative means that represent the population. Sampling design must be such that which result in small sampling error. Sampling error must be small or maybe not there. Sampling design must be viable in context of funds is there for the research study. Sampling design must be such so that systematic bias can be controlled in a better way. Sampling should be such that the result of the sample study should be applied in journal for the universe with a reasonable level of confidence. When we discuss about this point, in that like when we collect the data and that sample represent the population, like the sample is like that, a good sample is like that represent that population, and we are presenting that data in a level of confidence. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I hope you like this video. In the next part, I will discuss a sampling technique. Thank you. Thanks a lot.